I saw this video. There's been a lot of stuff like running around online recently. I saw this video. I saw part of this video. I want to look at the rest of it while we're here.
We're white liberals. We say that we're not in a cult like MAGA, but then we'll dismiss any and all criticism of Joe Biden as Russian propaganda or voter suppression. We're white liberals. We use women's reproductive rights as a pawn, while ignoring that apparently the president can bypass Congress when it comes to funding a genocide, but not when it comes to codifying Roe v. Wade. We're white liberals. We'll bully you and say that if you vote for anyone besides Biden, that you're voting for Trump, instead of helping you organize and find a different candidate that isn't a dictator or a genocider.
Okay, so here's the thing. Couple things, all right? Couple things. On this, I would say that this was kind of true, where a lot of people would just dismiss any single criticism of Joe Biden as like propaganda or evil or wrong. Okay, so I do hate this aesthetic. I do dislike it. But some people are going to be like, oh, people don't do that. They don't do that. I actually saved like a pretty large account that does this. Yeah, he's actually a Democratic analyst in Tennessee. I saved it not too long ago. Let me see if I can pull this up for you super quick. Yeah, this guy, dad, husband, 16 years in elective office, Tennessee election commissioner, local Democratic chair. Okay, this is from the party chair. This is from the party chair and strategist, the local Democratic Party chair and strategist in Tennessee. Okay, and you know what he had to say? This is David Hogg, the guy who survived a school shooting, who literally just said Joe Biden should work on him not being popular amongst young voters, which he won decisively in 2020. Okay, he said, okay, this is it. Folks have got to stop bitching and about not getting 100% of everything that they want and get behind this president, full stop. Being critical of him or his campaign on social media does nothing but feed his detractors. So you aren't helping anything. You have a platform, use it wisely. So he's literally like, do not criticize Joe Biden. He's like, being critical of him or his campaign on social media does nothing but feed his detractors, so you aren't helping anything. Okay, and this is literally David Hogg, who just said he should work on the problem that he has with young voters not wanting to vote for him. This is once again a Democratic Party chair and strategist saying it is wrong and bad and incorrect and against democracy for you to criticize Joe Biden. This isn't just like because like these type of people will pull up like some rando online about like saying something mean about Joe Biden. Okay, this is a Democratic Party chair saying to his constituents and people who are left leaning, or independent or Democratic voters, do not say anything bad about Joe Biden ever. You are not allowed to criticize the president. Period. It is wrong and should be frowned upon for you to criticize him. Period. This is a really large figure saying the stuff like this. So yeah, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, that is at least in this part of the video, yeah, that's kind of true. I will say, right? This just makes no sense. This part's low IQ. Okay. The president can bypass Congress when it comes to funding genocide, but not when it comes to like codifying Roe. This is low IQ. The president cannot codify Roe v. Wade. It does not make it. How can they do that? That's legislation. The president cannot write legislation. Now he can work on some like federal policies. Sure. I mean, he can do things like on federal land, you're able to get an abortion no matter what, and you can't be prosecuted by states. He has done that. If you're a service member and you're on like federally owned land in certain states that have banned abortion, you can still get an abortion. He's done that. But like, oh, just codify Roe, Lamau. No, he can't. He actually can't. No, he can't do that. I might be thinking of executive orders. Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Yeah, he can file an executive order like when it comes to on federal land and property in Washington D.C. Yeah, you can like get an abortion and all this type of stuff. But when it comes to just states, he can't just tell states to just do that. No, he can't do that. No, he is commander in chief. The president is commander in chief of the armed forces. So yes, he can actually give weapons to almost whoever he wants if he really wants to. That part's true. Now, bombing places like bombing Yemen, it's actually a little like I think it's going to cause a little constitutional crisis about whether or not the president can just do that. The Supreme Court and Congress has been like slowly funneling war powers into the hands of the executive, like completely without oversight for like decades. So he might actually be, it's they're talking about whether or not he's actually able to do that. He might not be able to, but at the end of the day, it's still a question that needs to be completely sorted out in courts. But like, he can't just write policy. He can't do that. Obama could have done more to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg before his presidency was over. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like, what was he gonna do? Like, kill her? Was it like threaten her family or something? Like, he did say, hey, he did have talks with RBG telling her to step her ass down, but she was like, nah, I'm good. Stop trying to make me step down. I'm a woman, you dumb bitch. I'm a woman, and I deserve to be here. And anybody telling me to step down hates women. That was her whole thing. And then she fucking died. That was her whole thing. And then when he tried to get another person on the court, the Republicans were just like, we're just going to not do that. We're just going to keep this seat open for as long as it takes to get a Republican in office to fill it. And then they won. And then they did do that, actually. I mean, the only thing that, I don't know, Joe Biden could possibly do, maybe activate the Insurrection Act and the War Powers Act, and then put like cops, and then my bad, put like military members outside of and put like military service members outside of every single Planned Parenthood in conservative controlled states and stop them from shutting them down and like shooting at it, and then like doming every single cop that's come to like shut the place down or something, and then running the Planned Parenthood as a sort of like military base, and then you can go there if you want to get an abortion, or I don't know, maybe possibly he could do something like that, but like outside of that, no, he can't just write policy. This is dumb. Yes, he can do one thing that the Constitution says he can do, but he can't do another thing that he couldn't. No. I hate to be the one to tell you this.
Comes to funding a genocide, but not when it comes to codifying Roe v. Wade. We're white liberals. We'll bully you and say that if you vote for anyone besides Biden, that you're voting for Trump, instead of helping you organize and find a different candidate that isn't a dictator or a genocider.
Okay, but here's my thing. Have you found another viable candidate? In the like 4 years that Biden has been in office, have you found like a good candidate that could replace him, that has the potential to do so? Have you found one yet? Have you found even one? Because the only one that really comes to mind is like possibly Cornel West, who has no electoral history whatsoever. He has no history whatsoever. No real backing. He didn't even have a real PAC. He was part of like a third party. He wasn't even part of the Democratic Party, so he had like no money either. And like getting the entire country to vote for a third party candidate over two established candidates is just, that's a Herculean feat that takes decades, not one election cycle. So no, I'll find one. Because listen, here's the thing. It's, for one, it's too late to replace Biden, and two, let's go back in time and pretend that it wasn't, bro. Who do you think could possibly rise the ranks and like, who do you think could possibly rise the ranks? Even because there were a decent amount of like Democrats who did not want, who for one don't want Biden to run again, didn't want Biden to run originally that much, and only was there and only voted for him because they thought that he could beat Donald Trump, and actually wanted him to not run again. He never promised. Some people say he promised to run again. He didn't actually promise not to run again. I do not believe that's true. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I remember, he never actually promised not to run again. But like, who? Gavin Newsom, who's just trash. Yo, Gavin Newsom is like just as lib-pilled as Biden is. I don't think Gavin Newsom would do almost anything different than what Joe Biden's doing right now. So that's out of it. Cenk is Turkish. I'll just leave it at that. Kamala Harris couldn't even win her own race. They also hate Kamala Harris anyways. I also do not like Kamala Harris. Dog who? Because some people like Jank brings up like for one, my governor. Get your dirty hands off my governor. Okay, for one, he's literally the only reason. He's literally the only reason why like my state isn't like completely fucking cooked. Okay, so get your hands off. Do not take my governor from me. Like who else? You know, like Gretchen Whitmer. She needs to like cook up even more in like in Michigan. They're still cooking there. She's not done there yet. There's Tim Scott. He's still cooking. He's not done yet. Jeb Bush. No. No, mommy Whitmer for prez. Whitmer will go crazy. Elizabeth Warren, not running. I don't think she could win either. I'm gonna be honest with you. She could not win. Elizabeth Warren, she doesn't have what it takes to win. Kamala Harris doesn't have what it takes to even win her own state, let alone the presidency. I like RNC research, giga cringe, loser pilled. But I mean, like, come on, Harris.
I see our college students up there. And let me just tell you, I love Gen Z. I don't know if some people, I love Gen Z. So, okay, for the older adults, this is going to be a humbling thing I'm about to share with you. If someone is 18 years old today, they were born in 2005. Oh yeah, check that out. Think about that for a minute.
It's just, I hate to say it, but she doesn't have the goods to win. She doesn't have what it takes. She doesn't have that charisma. She ain't got that charisma, unfortunately. Whitmer could do it. Whitmer could cook. Okay. Who's the governor of Arizona now? I forget her name. She could cook. She'd be able to go crazy. I think that's possible. Okay. There are many women out there who could go crazy. She actually has zero riz. She has less chemistry than Hillary. She has less charisma than Hillary. I do hate to say it, but she does well, I don't know. Pokemon go to the polls. Kamala ain't that bad. I don't know. I think she's. I'll put her a step above. I'll put her a step above Hillary. I'll say that. Anyways.
We're white liberals. We'll tokenize anyone from underrepresented groups who are in favor of Biden while encouraging you to ignore and block anyone else who might speak out against him. We're white liberals.
Does she mean anybody like of color or just anybody period? I mean, yeah, like they were going to. I mean, yeah, like you also would probably, if you had your own candidate, you'd also be like, don't listen to those guys who say not to vote for you. They're wrong. Because
We'll try to scare you into voting blue by reminding you about Project 2025 and the threat of fascism under Trump. Even though people from underrepresented groups have told us that, despite its name, Project 2025 has been in motion since the 70s and 80s, and they already experienced fascism under Biden.
How? What do you mean by fascism? How do you experience fascism under Biden? Okay, but like, how? What does the word fascism mean to you? What's that definition? And who's doing fascism where in the country, just straight up? What? Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, Project 2025 has been in motion since the 60s and 70s. Project 2025 has been in motion ever since like Roe v. Wade was originally ruled on. Okay, we know that. That's 100% been the case. Okay, but like they've been actualizing it. Like, can you imagine this? Like, what is this? What does this even mean? Can you even imagine, like, just for a moment, somebody's like, hey, dude, they're going to like, what? Somebody's like, hey, they're going to explode a bomb in your house. All right. And then you go, who gives a shit, man? They've been building that bomb for the last week. I know. They're going to blow it up. Like the bomb is just about finished and they want to press the button. Bro, they've been building the bomb for a while. I looked in their garage and they've been working on that bomb for a while now. Like, okay, who cares? It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, we know. We should probably stop them from being able to blow up the bomb, in my opinion. Yeah, they wrote it years in advance, and now they want to like actualize on it.
We're white liberals. We'll gaslight others and ourselves into believing that life is significantly better under Biden, despite the fact that we're all struggling to feed our families and pay our bills. We're white liberals and ourselves into believing that life is significantly better under Biden, despite the fact that we're all struggling to feed our families and pay our bills.
I would say that the country is indeed in better hands under Biden than Trump. Yes. That part is true. Now, is everybody doing like significantly better under Biden? No. I mean, I wouldn't say like, I don't know. It depends on what you mean by significantly better. It depends on who you are. If you're one of the thousands of people across the country that had their like student loans forgiven, then yeah, I would say that you're doing significantly better in my personal opinion. Is like everybody doing better? No, but like a lot of people are doing, yes, indeed, significantly better. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I know some people who've had their student loans forgiven, something that the Republicans don't want to do, and yeah, their lives are indeed significantly better since they didn't have to. Maybe you specifically didn't get your student loans forgiven, or maybe you've already paid them off, or maybe you don't have them. But okay, that sounds like a Republican idea of like, fuck you, I didn't get mine. Had mine forgiven. Yeah, that's probably a really great thing for you. And even if you didn't get them forgiven, I know a lot of people who've like through like the student loan like payback thing that Biden did indeed put into place, that those people don't have to, depending on your income, you don't have to pay back any student loans at all. My girlfriend is somebody who has like a couple, I don't want to give off her whole like thing, but she has like a decent amount of student loans withstanding, and due to her income, she doesn't have to pay any money at all, like any money whatsoever, period. She has to pay no money at all in her student loans right now. She owes $0.00 a month on her federal student loans because of what Biden put through, and that's actually great. It's fantastic, actually. She went from like worrying about how she's ever going to pay her bills whatsoever to it being at least somewhat like reasonable, like it being like in the ballpark of her being able to be at a place where she's going to be like debt free. Like we can see the path now because of Biden. Like that's actually a really great thing that's in office right now. Like you may not be one of the thousands of people who like were who had their convictions expunged after getting convicted and thrown in jail for like marijuana like trafficking or whatever, smoking weed. You may not have been one of those people, but those people probably like, yeah, that's great. That's a really cool thing that happened, actually. Yeah, and one of the big reasons why you can't pay your bills right now is because of like Trump's tax cuts for like the rich and the wealthy. Like a lot of the inflation is actually driven by big businesses, those big businesses that were able to get such a massive tax cut by the Biden administration and the Republicans. Sorry, by the Trump administration and the Republicans. I don't know. I hate the people who are like, everybody who disagrees with wanting to vote for Biden is just too stupid to understand that like it'd be a great thing if you did, because they're not. Most people like have actual genuine grievances, but this is like, some of these are genuine grievances and some of these are just like low IQ babble. You're rambling, you're yapping. Some of this is simply just yapping. Yeah, companies have been artificially inflating prices, and companies have also been like lying to local governments and ordinances to give them more money because they say that they're losing profits by shoplifting, when they just lied. They're just lying about shop. I want to do a video on this sometime soon, like the massive shoplifting lie that like companies have been able to trick local people and local governments into believing like they're like completely losing profits because of everything's crashing around them because of the like shoplifting epidemic that isn't real. That's the shoplifting epidemic. That's the real plandemic. Okay, that's the real new world order. Okay, is for you to bow down to all corporations and say sorry for allowing shoplifting to happen when it's just not real and not a real problem. Speaking of this, okay, like another thing that I don't know, that I don't even think they know about this, or they may not even care either. But another massive thing that like the Biden administration put through recently was, I forget its name specifically, but what it is, it's a plan to stop hunger in 2024 summer. So over the summer when school is out, the plan is to actually have it so that kids can get food and families can have like meals taken care of by the government if they can't afford to eat 3 square meals a day, or they can't afford all of their groceries. Red states are like opting themselves out of that because they want their constituents to suffer and starve, and they believe that starving to death would be better than the federal government feeding people, actually. But like in states that actually take that type of stuff up, I'm telling you right now that there are going to be thousands and thousands of kids across the country that will not starve, that could have starved because of this. And I think that's great. Would it help me out as a kid? Yeah, that's true. And unfortunately, a lot of conservative states are specifically like, I want our constituents to starve because at least they aren't being helped by the government. It's crazy. It's really sad, crazy stuff. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot of great things that the Biden admin has genuinely done that makes them, that, you know, it's true. They've done a lot of bad things too, especially with this like Israel genocide thing. Very sad. The whole genocide thing that they like do not want to give up on after Netanyahu plays him like a fiddle. It's crazy. I love starving children. Yeah, but conservatives have been running on starving children as like a policy platform for years now. Remember how in like South Dakota, they were thinking about finally getting like free school lunches to poor children, and then he said it's not the government's job to make sure children don't starve, and it's the parents' fault if their children starve to death, and I couldn't care less. Once again, these are the same people that claim to care about kids and to be the party of life. But anyways, crime's out of control. Another lie promoted by conservatives, like the lie that crime is completely out of control. Crime's been falling for years. You've had one of the largest drops in crime this. You know, the craziest thing is that, I mean, under the Biden administration, like violent crimes, especially like murder, have almost completely disappeared in many parts of the country. But like nobody cares. Nobody actually cares about crimes not being that common, because like the only people that care about crimes happening like that are people who are victims of crime, and people who can use the idea of crime to like win elections. That's it. But anyways,
we're white liberals. We'll act as saviors to marginalized communities, but we'll also blame them if Biden loses and tell them they can deal with the consequences of that, usually in graphic detail.
That part is true. I have seen that. I've seen that, like, fuck you, I'll be okay, but your ass is dead. Ooh, they're gonna kill your ass, and you're gonna deserve it too. I've seen that.
White liberals. We'll feign concern for Palestinians, but we won't actually watch the raw footage of them being attacked and unalived en masse. We're white liberals.
Okay, but like, nobody should be forced to watch like hours of gore porn. I'm gonna be honest with you. I also haven't watched hours of Palestinian gore porn either. You know the crazy thing about that, in South Africa's condemnation and case against Israel, it didn't once show one dead body. You know why? Because you can easily tell people and describe what's happening without doing like shock and horror gore porn by showing them like children blown to pieces. You don't need to see that to be able to sympathize with these types of people. Not once did South Africa bring up a single dead body in its genocide case against Israel, because you don't need to. We're white liberals. We don't like to watch gore porn. Like, okay. You don't need to. Oh, you support Palestine? Watch these executions. Like, no, I don't think you need to. I really don't think you need to.
Liberals. We'll talk down to people of color and pretend like we know what's best for them, even though the wall's still being built and Cop City's still going up. We're white liberals. We'll watch
wall still being built. That is true. Biden has actually built more walls on the southern border than Trump has so far. That part is true. That part is actually true. But he is also stopping Texas from like straight up killing people at the border. He's actually in a massive court battle with Texas, because Texas wants to drown people coming across the border. If they have they want to actually drown people coming across the border. Greg Abbott and crew have been just drowning people in the Rio Grande recently, and Biden and the border patrol and federal border patrol have been in a war with like Texas border patrol and state-run border patrol and Greg Abbott over that type of stuff. Literally serial killer shit. Yeah, like Greg Abbott and crew literally put like a saw trap on in the Rio Grande to drown people and children. It was buoys with saw blades on them, and they were specifically made to stop people from being able to get on them. And if you try to, it'll like slice you up and you'll drown to death or bleed to death inside of the Rio Grande. So that's their plan right now, and Biden is actually fighting against that. So I have a coworker that thinks that shit's okay. Republicans love killing people. It's their like number one favorite pastime is to watch human beings die. And they get specific joy if their policies specifically kill them. Just kill the poor. That is true. That is their number one thing. That's their solution to poverty. Kill them. Tell them to do better, and if they don't do better, kill them. Presidential immunity. Holy crap. You're right. Guys, I've got it. Here's how Joe Biden wins in 2024. Donald Trump goes to the Supreme Court. He wins his case when it comes to presidential immunity. Okay, it means that the president, when in office, cannot be prosecuted for any crimes that they committed in office. Biden sends SEAL Team 6 to kill every single Republican governor, including Donald Trump, installs his own governors, and becomes the president. Crazy stuff. I don't condone this, and I don't believe it should be done. But if Donald Trump like gets his way when it comes to this type of when it comes to his argument on presidential immunity, he can actually do it. You've heard of Project 2025? Get ready for Executive Order 2025. Holy, sounds like a coup? Nah. Because Democratic officials should have been there to begin with. Republicans, it's not a coup because the real coup was Republicans being in office because they stole the election from Democrats. Every election where a Republican won is actually a stolen election from the Democrats because they should have won, and the Republicans actually removed all of the ballots for the Democratic guy and put in their own ballots to be able to win, and threw away Democratic ballots so they can win. And they also did ballot harvesting, which is also really terrible too. So that they installed a digitized version of the personality of Adolf Hitler into every single voter booth in red states to be able to have the AI throw away Democratic ballots and instead put in conservatives into every office, because Republicans suck so much ass that they wouldn't have won any single elected position in the entire country. So that's how we know that when a Republican wins, that there was cheating done. So it's not a coup. It's just correcting the mistakes of the evildoers. It's correcting the mistakes that was fueled by, I hate to say it, the Antichrist. The devil works in very mischievous ways. Every single conservative that gets into office sold their soul to the devil, and they use the power of the Antichrist and the eternal flames of hell to be able to burn Democratic ballots by just thinking hard about it. And that's how they're able to be in office. So it really sucks. The Rio Grande booby traps rotate so you get tangled in the barbed wire, dragging you underwater. Yeah, so it's actually a saw trap. So the buoys, so it's like buoys, okay, and then like razor blades in the middle, and they rotate. So what happens is that you rotate, and then you get caught inside of like the razor blades, and you get stuck underwater, drowning you. It's actually they've actually set up a killing trap for human beings in Texas. That's what they're doing. And thankfully the Biden administration told them to not do that. It's already killed several women and children, and men as well, which are also important because men's lives matter as well. We have an serious problem. Psychotic? I mean this was Greg Abbott the other day. Where's the audio clip of Greg Abbott talking about how he wanted to shoot people on the border? Let me see if I can grab that for you. Here we go. Beautiful. Here we go. Oh, Jesus, so loud.
We are using every tool that can be used, from building a border wall to building these border barriers to passing this law that I signed that led to another lawsuit by the Biden administration, where I signed a law making it illegal for somebody to enter Texas from another country. And they're subject to arrest and subject to deportation. And so we are deploying every tool and strategy that we possibly can. The only thing that we're not doing is we're not shooting people who come across the border because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder.
The only thing we're not doing is shooting people because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder. Bro, actually, you know that meme, if it wasn't... what was that? Well, let me see if I can find this. Like, if it wasn't for the laws of this land, I would have slaughtered you. If it wasn't for the laws of this land, I would have slaughtered you where you stand. Bro wants to be a serial killer immediately.
Tone-deaf Instagram posts made by our leaders and dismissed for them, even us. We're white liberals. We'll talk down to people of color and pretend like we know what's best for them, even though the wall's still being built and Cop City's still going up. We're white liberals. We'll watch tone-deaf Instagram posts made by our leaders and dismiss the thousands of comments streaming in, demanding a ceasefire, and just say that they're Russian bots. We're white liberals. We will talk over people in marginalized communities instead of listening to them and trusting their lived experiences. We're white liberals. We'll be recognized as Person of the Year for giving the economy a boost with our concert sales, while staying silent in the face of a genocide and actively destroying the environment with our private planes. We're white liberals. We like to say that we'll hold our own to account, but then we'll just ignore and justify it when our own leader is complicit in war crimes. We're white liberals. We'll put BLM in our bios while simultaneously condemning another country's resistance group that was born out of an unlawful and violent occupation.
Okay, well, that's true. And yes, that's a liberal thing. It's a Republican line to think that like BLM was burning down cities for like George Floyd or whatever. Like the people were like Minneapolis looked like fucking Nagasaki and Hiroshima after BLM came through. It's the same it's actually the same line that we're going to talk about that people used against MLK. I can't stand the walking sound. Oh, you mean the snow crunch? The snow crunch. My GF hates the snow crunch too. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's just the crunch. You can't BLM and like the 2020 BLM protests and like Hamas. They're not very analogous at all. They're not really analogous at all, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And like what's going on with Palestinians right now and like even black people in the country isn't necessarily completely analogous either. Like, sure, I guess there's both like resistance movements, but Hamas is like, they're not like BLM. I don't talk about Hamas much. Right, Hamas is like born out of something like much. They're not even really comparable to like the Black Panthers. Really, we're not even, for one, we're not an apartheid state. Okay, and even if it was like similar, like Hamas is doing way more damage, deliberately so, like top down damage. Even the riots that happened during like BLM. And throughout even like civil rights movements across the country, even then they weren't like what's happening right now in between Gaza and Israel. Like they're at war, just straight up. And like I don't even believe I don't even believe like most of the polls that have come out that like your average and also Hamas is like a dictatorship of like Palestine, and they don't of like Gaza, and they don't even allow like elections for one. Like you don't have to defend Hamas to like want to protect Palestinians. You just don't need to. There's no need to do it. Okay, Hamas is actually, like, at the end of the day, a dictatorship in Gaza. Gazans can't be like, hey Hamas, we want you guys to. They can't do that. They can't do that. We can understand where like many Hamas militants are coming from, especially young ones who've grown up under occupation and like Israeli bombardment, and the people who are victims of like, you know, the like Nakbas and occupation and deportation and like in pain and suffering inflicted on them by the Israeli state. But like they're not the same. Yeah, in the civil rights movement, all the civil rights movement tended more towards de-escalation than anything else. I mean, you can't even like really compare them to even like John Brown. Really, it's just different. You can understand the analogies between the two and similarities between the two, but like they're not. I wouldn't put them. I wouldn't really use them in the same breath. Really, I think uprising in Haiti would be like way closer to Hamas and today, but it'd be closer. But I also don't even think they're really that. There's like wild differences between them as well too. Yeah, it's way close. You go ahead, you go like wait. I wouldn't have as many problems comparing it to like Haiti. Yeah. I don't know. I really don't like that video. It's just not good. It's not good. They highlighted some good things, but it's big crapshoot, honestly. Huge crapshoot.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.